Okay, some said it would never happen, but here we are, the COVID Classic semifinals with Brad and Steve. And let me give you a little backstory on this little match. This is the Tony Ferguson and Khabib of jiu-jitsu matches. It was scheduled twice. Once it was canceled because a student was exposed to COVID, and the second time the whole gym and province shut down. So as you can see, I gave both these guys their purple belts before. Both very well deserved, two hard-working students. I've known them for a long time. And because I train with both of these guys and know that both their games pretty well, and because this match was scheduled for weeks, it gave me a lot of time to think about how it was going to play out. And I felt like the slower the pace of the match, it would favor Brad. If it got scrambly, it would favor Steve. And it was an interesting clash. I figured Steve would likely pull, Brad would be on top. And if he could get his pressure passing to work and get past the legs, that would be good for him. And Steve would be trying to elevate, look for arm drags, back takes, things of that nature. So we were finally ready, and here we go. Remember, Brad did a lot of stand-up his first match. He quickly pulled his second match, and I'm pretty sure Steve's pulled guard every time along the way so far. So I expected Steve to pull basically as soon as he grips up. And it's the smart thing to do, going against a bigger opponent. Get to where you're comfortable at as soon as you can. That should always be your strategy when you start the match. Get in a position that you're comfortable with. And right now Steve pulls to butterfly. See how he has both hooks in? And now he's playing with the collars. He's trying to pull Brad's weight forward so he can off-balance him or potentially come up with an arm drag or like a double leg from his butt. But Brad knows to keep those hooks stuffed and to try to keep pressure and look to pin Steve's back to the floor. So to me, this is where the match would be fought most of the time, and whoever can control the pace of the match here I thought would likely win. So Brad's got the crossface now. Steve goes to off balance. He let him get that other butterfly hook back in. Brad's goal from here is to just try to get one leg between his legs and try to force a half guard so he can start to pressure pass, or he could push both of Steve's knees together and look to pin and hit like a smash pass. But anytime you're on both of the guys' hooks, it's not good because you just can't close the distance enough to get anything meaningful happening. And Steve knows it, so he's going to do everything he can to not let his knees get pushed together or not let Brad force a half guard. Brad changes levels, throwing something different at Steve. Now he goes back down. Now you can see Steve's right knee. That means it's not in as a butterfly hook anymore. And now Brad looks like he's starting to get into over-under. He's looking to control the hip. Steve gable gripped the leg. That was nice to off-balance Brad and force him out of that pass. But Brad brought his weight back onto him and got back into place. And now he's deep into this over-under pass, Bernardo Faria style. If Brad can keep his head over that far hip, it locks everything in place. Steve's doing a smart thing by getting up on his elbow, but he's got to try to scoop back and push off of Brad to create space. But Brad has too much leverage. He has control of both hips. And that was a very beautiful over-under pass into side control and secures his 3 points. So Brad's on the board first. Look again, I love the over-under pass. So Steve goes gable grip, but Brad was able to stretch his leg far away enough that he couldn't do the same move he did before. So now Steve should be trying to push Brad's head over to his other hip. If Brad's able to lock his head over that hip, get up onto his toes and tripod, big danger. So Steve can his options are push his head to the other side or just try to scoot away. It's going to be hard to scoot away because Brad has a hold of the gi. And now he's going for it. See, he's starting to drive. Brad's got to get heavy with that left shoulder. Stepping over the leg, walking his knees towards the head, and he locks it in. Steve bridges, but when the guy has that much control over your hips, there's just not much you can do. It was smart that Steve didn't go too crazy because there's still a lot of time. He could have tried to roll away and gave his back, or he could have gave up a submission to try to escape, but he kept his cool. And this is a very tricky situation for Steve because you got to think there's still a lot of time left on the clock. He's down 3-0, and he's in bottom side control. Not a favorable position, but still lots of time left on the clock. So from here, it'd be in Brad's favor to just really slow things down from here. If the match ended right now, he'd win. So you don't want to stall, but it's really about just letting the clock tick down, putting pressure on your opponent, making them give up some energy. See, force them to bridge. That gives up a little bit of energy. Brad should be looking to try to open up Steve's left elbow. If he can do that with his hand. Right now he can maybe try to grab the wrist. Now, maybe potential for a head and arm there if he could open that elbow. But Steve was able to reguard. Let's look again how Steve escaped that. He's going to use his right foot to step over Brad's leg. That forces him to react and shift his leg. And then Steve bridged, and then he threw his other leg over and caught him in a half guard. Very sneaky recovery into half guard. Still not the best position because see, Brad has a tight cross face and an underhook, but it's a little better than it was. From here, I was just worried that they would bump into the wall. I didn't want a move to happen and them crash on the wall, so I thought it was a good opportunity to reset. Always with the resets, if they're in a position like that, you start them in the same position, but if they were in a submission or something, it would change everything, right? So you got to be careful on the resets. Now, Brad's still in a good position. He's still up 3-0. Has a good amount of weight on Steve here. Steve's looking to push that knee. He wants both hooks in like he had at the start. This is also good too. He could go close guard here if he wants, but he wants that shoulder crunch. He's really good with that sweep. And now he takes Brad over. Brad's trying to fight the sweep hard to recover, but that forced him to give the back. So watch. Look at the position of Steve's right knee right now. See how it's past Brad's leg? He's got to get it in front of Brad's leg. So he's posting with his hand. He does a little shrimp. Look, shrimp, and then that lets him bring the knee in front. And this changes everything. Now he can use his whole body. See how he has his hands locked together? Now he can kind of pull Brad's base out. Now he just has the shoulder. Now he has Brad's weight pretty spread out. And now he hits that beautiful shoulder crunch sweep. And now Brad has to give a strong defensive reaction because he's already been swept. I mean, in this situation, mount or back would be 4. So he did the proper thing in trying to fight out of it. But it was just a nicely executed move. And he ended up on the back here. So that'd be 2 for the sweep and 4 for the back. So we're 6-3 now in favor of Steve. So it shows how quickly the match can change. Now, it's not over yet. I'm not sure exactly how much time there is. But in Brad's situation, he has to try to think, okay, I got to get out of here, and I either got to pass again, because that would tie the score, 6-6, or he's got to escape, sweep, or get a takedown, and then get a mount or a back take. But he's still a few moves away from being able to score, and of course, you got to defend when the guy's on your back, so you can't think about scoring right now. He's got to protect his neck and hand fight. See how Steve has a grip on Brad's wrist? That's going to prevent him from being able to hand fight his way out. So he's got one hand attack on the choke, one hand control on the wrist. He's looking to trap that arm, but Brad knows it, so he brings his arm up. But that makes you in danger of going for the rear triangle. See how Steve has a foot on Brad's hip? He's almost using it like a step. Now that's going to let him dig in for the collar choke. Now he's looking for the bow and arrow. But let me tell you, Brad is quite difficult to choke. And I don't know if Steve's brittle hands are even capable of it. So he quickly switches to the back triangle. Smart move on a guy that's tough to choke. Because with the deal with the back triangle, you just got to get his elbow over his shoulder line. Once his elbow is over his shoulder line, big trouble. Now he's got it. You can see he's got the triangle locked, and he gets the tap. Great match. I know people just say, oh, that was very technical, that was a great match, but we saw a guard pass, we saw a back take, a sweep, and I just thought it was a beautiful display of jiu-jitsu by both guys. Congratulations on receiving their purple belts. Steve moves on to the finals, and he will take on the winner of Curtis and Fitz.